I would say 5 things that really set the buoyancy or the foundation. Those 5 things are sleep, right? In the absence of quality sleep over 2 or 3 days, you're just going to fall to pieces. In the presence of quality, sufficient sleep over 2 or 3 days, you're going to function at an amazing level. You sleep better, you function much better. Mm-hmm. So sleep, I would say, is at the top of the list. Nutrients, and there you can think macronutrients. And so carnivores are only eating meat and your vegans are only eating plants. I think that when I look at all of the nutrition literature and arguments out there, it seems that everyone can agree on one thing, which is that probably 80% or more of our nutrition should come from unprocessed or minimally processed sources. And that includes macronutrients and that includes micronutrients as well. Mm-hmm. So those 2 things. Then the third would be movement. You need a combination of cardiovascular exercise and you need resistance training, whether or not it's with body weight or weights or machines, etc. That you need both. Fourth, I will argue, and I like to think that maybe I've helped this movement, if you want to call it that, is light. In particular, sunlight in the early part and throughout the middle of the day, and trying to minimize the amount of artificial light. 20 minutes, 3 times a week of sun exposure to their skin, their face, and they remove their shirts, or if it was women, they wore tank tops and shorts for both men and women. 3 times a week, significant increases in free testosterone. And then the last category that's important is social connection, aka relationships. Let's just call it relationships, because that can include relationship to self. Mm-hmm. So those things set up the core foundation. And I realize that every 24 hours, I need to invest something into each one of those things. Sleep, nutrients, exercise, light, relationships. Those really establish the foundation to move as seamlessly as possible between the states that we happen to be in and the states we desire to be in. I like to think of those 5 things every single day. You have to re-up on sleep every 24 hours, or try to. You have to re-up on movement every 24 hours. You can go a day or so immobile, but you better move the next day. And if you don't, you can get by for a day or 2, but pretty soon you're going to hit that wall where you won't be able to do any of the things that most people are actually seeking to do. I think people hear a list of those 5 things and they think, gosh, okay, well, that must be nice for you, Andrew and Tim. You wake up, you look at sunlight, you guys don't have kids, don't have to worry about kids running around. I would argue that there is no showing up properly for yourself and for the other people in your life unless these things are being handled. And it's not about becoming soft and cushy. It's about becoming quite resilient and effective.
Of those 5, let's just say if you had to pick one that you were neglecting, maybe a strong word, but underweighting, that you are now weighting differently, what would it be?
I'll have to pick 2. The 2 are movement, really changed the way that I train and exercise to some extent. And then the other one is relationships, which probably reflects my place in life, where I'm 47 now. I've chosen to delay having a family, but that's a primary focus. Sunday, I make it a focused effort to move as much as possible, ideally outdoors. So what I'll do on that day is, because sometimes it's a social day with other people in my life, if I'm on my own, I'll throw on a 8 or 10 pound weight vest and I'll head out for probably a 75 minute to a 90 minute slow jog with some hills. And I'll try and nasal breathe the whole time. I'll often listen to a podcast or a book. Sometimes I'll just let my mind drift. Then Monday the goal for me is to train my legs. Just get a leg workout on Monday. The data that I see on longevity and just simply ability to perform different sports and to just feel strong throughout the body is strongly rooted in the legs. Tuesday, I don't want to call it a recovery day, but Tuesday I'm doing something really different. First of all, my legs need recovery. So what I'll do is substantial amounts of deliberate heat exposure and deliberate cold exposure. I do a protocol which is pretty intense, designed to amplify growth hormone, stimulate a bunch of positive mood promoting hormones that last not just days, but weeks. So 20 minutes in the sauna, very hot, 3 to 5 minutes in the cold plunge up to the neck, back into the sauna for 20 minutes, back into the cold plunge for 3 to 5 minutes, back into the sauna for 20 minutes, back into the cold plunge for 3 to 5 minutes. Wednesday, I do one of 2 things. I'm either going to do a shorter duration than Sunday cardiovascular training workout. So I'm thinking about 5 minutes of warm up and then about 25 to 30 minutes of usually running for me. That's typically what I'll do on Wednesday. Although if my legs are still a little bit sore, I train what I call torso. Then I'll do that weight workout I just described, torso, on Thursday, or I'll swap them. What I tend to do is overhead shoulder presses after a warm up, 2 to 3 sets, working sets, or maybe 4. I like ring dips and dips these days. Those are hard for me, but 2 or 3 work sets of those. So chest, shoulders, I want strength, I want explosiveness, and some hypertrophy sneaks in because I'm working in that, 5 to 8 rep range. So that's what I call torso, because it's chest, shoulders, back. Every other week I'll throw in those chins. So I do some neck work at the end. And the way I do it is take a plate, wrap it in a towel so you don't end up with an imprint of the weight number on your forehead. And I usually lie on my side, and I'll do it somewhere in the 10 to 15. Repetition range. And then I'll lie on my stomach, and this is probably the most important one, and I'll put the plate behind my head, again wrapped in a towel, and do head raises. Then Friday is a really important day, because Friday is the day that I do a short workout, usually only about 3 minutes of warm up and about 12 minutes of training. And the goal is to get my heart rate as high as I possibly can. My favorite way to do this is I'll get on the assault bike, which are the ones with the handles with the fan, which is not designed to keep you cool. It's designed to create resistance, folks. And do 20-second on sprint, 10-second rest, 20-second on, 10-second rest.
Tabot.
And then Saturday is the fun one, because I'm still enjoy this. I'll go into the gym in the morning. Usually it's mid-morning, and I'll do small muscle groups, biceps, triceps, rear delts. I always include dips at some point during the week. Bench dips, tricep extensions with cables, basic stuff, preacher curls, that kind of incline curls. If you start training for longer than 60 minutes with resistance training, cortisol levels go up, you start feeling lousy, you're not sleeping well, or you find you can't sleep enough and you don't recover. So keeping the workouts relatively short has really helped. I don't want to spend all my time training. I really want to be able to get the most out of my training routine to feel much better than I would otherwise when I'm doing cognitive work. The one thing missing from it is there isn't anything in there that's really about dynamic movement in multiple planes. I'm not doing jujitsu. I sometimes play badminton, or something. Badminton's fun. I'm mainly doing it to make sure that I can train really hard and then go do other things really hard too. I get... And as not a competitive athlete, I loathe the experience of training really hard and then feeling like I gave everything to that training session.
So let's hone in on sleep, my perennial favorite and the bane of my well-being?
I still use the same sleep stack. So it's magnesium threonate, spelled THREONAT, theanine and apigenin. And I've added, every once in a while, I'll take 900 milligrams of myo-inositol. I always thought self-care is selfish. You know, even working out, I used to hide working out when I'd go to conferences because I thought like no academic like goes to the gym and lifts weights. And I really like doing that. But I realized how much stronger I was mentally when I was taking care of my physical body. I still feel that, yeah, if we don't actually take the time to figure out what's going on in our heads, how can we really trust that we're on the best path?
Yeah.